Hi, Kerry again. I'm here to do day 4 of my story expansion. And the prompts for today is what your before looked like and what shifted. And I thought, oh my God, well, which before do I go to? Because there's quite a few befores. Hold on, let me just pause. Yeah, there's quite a few befores in my life. So do I go back to before I became a womb priestess, because there's been so many shifts just in that short space of time? Do I go back to before I had lost my mum? Do I go back to before I had my children, which is about 23 years, which at that point I was very much still fucked up, basically. Hadn't even begun on my healing journey, and I went through several mental and emotional breakdowns in my early years as a mother. So where do I go to before what? How did my before look? I guess the breakdowns were my before, when I didn't know how to cope with my emotions at all, really. I had so much rage and grief in me, and this is before I'd lost both of my parents, so they were still here. And I was so focused on trying to be a good mum to my kids and giving as much as I could of myself to them, working through a lot of issues within my marriage, but mostly it was within myself, and I was very, very fractured and wounded. Didn't know who I was at all, didn't know what I wanted, never even considered what I wanted, actually. And I'm just going to cut the long story very short and shift the shifts that occurred. My parents died, and I had to deal with that grief. I was away from my friends and family, living in Wolverhampton while they were in Deal, so I felt very isolated. But I think I needed that isolation in order to really dive into what I needed to for my healing. I don't know that I would have been able to have the journey spiritually that I have had if I was, and I don't even know why I have this feeling, I just have this feeling that if I had stayed in my hometown, I wouldn't have had the same spiritual experiences that I'm having now. I don't know why I think that, I just do. So yeah, I think that isolated period that I felt was necessary. That was a long period of time in my life. And then I had the journey of becoming aware through the loss of my mum. So when my mum died, I went to a group that she used to go to give them some money donated from things that I'd sold of my mum's. And while I was there, the lady asked me to just wait a minute because she was just giving a talk to the group. It was a lovely group called Busy Minds. There was a lot of people that used to go there every week, and my mum had gone there every week and she loved it. So I waited while she gave this talk, and she was talking about some of the activities that she had coming up, and she was saying that one of them was going to be a talk on mindfulness, and she said, I don't know who's going to do this. I need somebody to do it. And I had been delving into mindfulness and Buddhism and things like that around that time. So I piped up and said, I'll do it. And she said, okay, thanks, Kerry. Kerry's going to give a talk on mindfulness. And I was thinking, what am I doing? I can't give a talk on mindfulness. I couldn't even talk in front of people at that time. And I'm convinced now it was my mum orchestrating all of this, because I think that is the only environment that I could have actually stepped up to do that talk, because I felt so comforted in this group of people because they'd been so close to my mum, and because the talk was about mindfulness. So I was thinking, okay, if you can't apply all of these things that you're talking about to do with mindfulness to yourself in order to help yourself give a talk on mindfulness, then you're obviously talking crap, so there's no point in doing it at all. So it was the perfect situation to get me started on my journey to overcoming my anxiety. So I gave this talk and it was good. They really enjoyed it, and they enjoyed it so much that they invited me to go into the group every week and do mindfulness sessions there, which I did, and I loved it. And I began leading mindfulness sessions with these lovely, lovely people, and I would often get really positive feedback, and these people were saying to me how it really helped them, sometimes in really small ways, but sometimes there was a lady there who was so grateful for my sessions because she'd lost her husband, and it was really helping her to deal with her grief. And I was so moved by that. And I remember I would walk away from those sessions, I'd walk home feeling like I was walking on air, because I loved it so much. And I thought, this is it. I need to be working with people in meditation, helping people with healing and things like that. So that triggered my journey into wanting to work with people in a healing aspect, which obviously meant I needed to do more work on myself because I had a lot of healing that I needed to do. So that, I would say, was the beginning of the big shifts in me. And then, I just delved into my own spiritual journey and my own healing journey, which led me down this path towards discovering Archangel Metatron, discovering so many of my spirit guides, and obviously my mum and my dad are among my spirit guides, and they've guided me to a lot of things. I think I really do believe that. And I'm not even going to begin to start talking about the shifts that had happened in me, because I want to keep this video fairly short. It's already been 8 minutes, which is coming up to around what I want these videos to be. So my before wasn't great, but my shifts have been really life-changing, like really life-changing. Some quite intense moments, some very subtle shifts, but sometimes the subtle shifts are the most profound, because sometimes the simplicity of certain realizations or awareness that you can gather, you can find about yourself, can create massive shifts. So I think I'll talk about one shift in particular, which is relevant to what I'm doing on my womb healing course now. So I'm on my 3rd spiral through the womb, shamanic way of the womb. I'm coming to the end of my 3rd spiral, and in October I'll be dedicating as a womb priestess again for the 2nd time in Glastonbury, and it's going to be amazing. But this month what we're working on is something called Luminary Leadership, which is it's been created, and a concept that has been written about extensively by a lady called Lynn Sedgmore, and she discusses the difference between the patriarchal use of power to to gain control over people and situations, and for their benefit, for profit, for your own benefit, having power over people or a group of people. And in luminary leadership, which is a more feminine, softer type of power, you don't have power over, you work towards having power with other people, and it's about having sovereign power within yourself. So that, considering my relationship with power and how I conceived the whole idea of power as such a negative, threatening thing, I suppose, really had massive shifts in me. And I began to work on building my own personal power, my own sovereign power, and sharing that with other people, and realizing that power isn't that, it doesn't have to be that masculine, controlling, manipulating, dog eat dog, like, you get where you're going despite who you trample all over and that sort of thing. It can be a really lovely, empowering, inclusive, and community thing, bringing people together and lifting each other up and supporting each other. And that's the sort of power that I want to cultivate in my life and with the people that I work with and the clients that I work with. So yeah, that's a big shift. That was a big shift for me. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking now because it's nearly 12 minutes long, this video. And I'll be back again tomorrow for day 5.